Hello and welcome into a Saturday night edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hickson. I am your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI and your host of this daily Sun Devils Insider Podcast. And I'm so grateful to be joining you on this Saturday night. As I said, we are about 17 hours removed from breaking news that came out about 6 o'clock, 6:20 this morning, that Kenny Dillingham officially agreed to the new amended contract with Arizona State University to remain as the head coach for the 2026 season and beyond. Uh, Took him out of the consideration for the Michigan job completely, and Arizona State fans can now really share a collective sigh of relief. That is really where we are at right now. And I've been saying throughout this whole process that I was confident that Coach Dillingham would remain with Arizona State. I feel like he was playing a game of chess here. He was really using Michigan as leverage to get more concessions from President Michael Crow, because I'm absolutely positive that Graham Rossini has been on board with providing more resources to the football program all along. And I think that Dr. Crow really acknowledged and recognized the value that Coach Dillingham provides to this program. And I think that if they had played hardball, that maybe you do have a different conversation. Maybe Dillingham does decide that it's time to move on elsewhere, even if he doesn't want to necessarily. Sometimes your hand is forced, and you have to make a decision that you don't prefer to make. So I think that everybody should be thrilled that there were concessions that were made. Chris Karpman was the first to report last Saturday on December 13th that there were discussions that were being had about a possible amended contract that would include a bump in base pay for Coach Dillingham, as well as other contractual perks, I guess, such as what Pete Thamel reported this morning was that the assistant coach, the salary pool for assistant coaches will um, rise from about $1.7 million to about $11 million, which will be near the very top of the Big 12. Uh, there's going to be different initiatives that are done for resources to players. The NIL sphere is going to continue to ramp up. They still have a lot of catch up to do as far as NIL goes, but they've come a long way. So who's to say that they can't get to where they ultimately want to be there? And I think the most important thing is that he revealed during his media availability on Saturday that Josh Amura, my bad, is going to be the de facto GM for the Arizona State program. He might not have that title, but Dillingham did say he's going to have that role. He's going to have more responsibilities than he already has. He has previously been the director of player personnel, and as you can tell, he's done a great job of identifying players that have made an impact in Arizona State's rise to the top of the Big 12, or the near the top of the Big 12. And that's one of many things that we learned from Coach Dillingham. One of the other things that I really wanted to talk about was that he never had any substantive conversations with Michigan. Straight from the source, he said that Michigan had some conversations with his agent, but there was never an offer. There was never anything beyond the preliminary stages. And like I said, I think that that's just proof that Michigan was always being utilized as leverage for against Arizona State, and rightfully so. He has every right to do that if that was the intention. He's earned it. Uh, those are really the major things that I wanted to talk about in terms of the immediate future of the program. As for the long term future, the transfer portal is going to always play a role in long term future as well as immediate future, so I feel like that's the most important thing to talk about right now. The transfer portal window opens January 2nd, and players must enter it by January 16th to be able to switch teams this time around. There's no spring transfer portal window, so they're not going to be getting any players that transfer out unless there's a reason or a waiver granted by the NCAA after January 16th. But players can commit whenever, so they have all off-season commit if they so choose to do so. Uh, Dillingham's going to need a quarterback. Obviously, he's probably going to need anywhere from 18 to 20 players in the transfer portal to replace who is leaving the program, whether it's players that are transferring out, players that are graduating, players that are out of eligibility, players that are going to the NFL draft. Between 18 and 20 players, probably maybe 22. And that's part of the long-term plan. I feel like Coach Dillingham has always approached the transfer portal as more of a supplementary means, but I think that he realizes that now your bread and butter is through the transfer portal. That's how programs such as Ole Miss, such as Oregon, a lot of these programs that are still standing strong in the college football playoff, Texas Tech in the Big 12, they have built their rosters largely through the transfer portal investments that they've made and not the freshman classes that they brought in. And I think this transfer portal class is going to be pretty vital. Beyond that, I think that Arizona State is in a position to compete for Big 12 titles as long as Coach Dillingham is in the fold in Tempe. I know Texas Tech is really separating themselves separating them from the rest of the pack in the Big 12 as far as NIL efforts, possibly as far as power brokers in the Big 12 as a whole. But I think coaching really, really matters, and I think Coach Dillingham and the assistant coaching staff is a major drawing point for prospective recruits, for prospective transfers. I think they're going to look at Arizona State's culture, look at the continuity, look at the player development, look at the NFL draft track record success-wise, and it's going to be a very attractive spot, even if they can't offer the straight-up money that Texas Tech can. And I think they have the ability to. I think they can eventually get there. We'll see. But the Big 12 is still wide open to me. There's several programs gunning for the top spot. Arizona State is one of them. Texas Tech is one of them. BYU is one of them. Utah is one of them. And you can't count out a Kansas State. You can't count out a Houston who has the number one quarterback recruit in the 2026 class officially signed to them. There are a lot of programs that are very quality and are trending upwards, but none of them have Kenny Dillingham. And I think that's going to be a major factor moving into 2026 and beyond. Until then, Arizona State ends the 2025 campaign on December 31st in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against the Duke Blue Devils. That game will be broadcast on CBS. And today was the last walkthrough, last practice available to media while Arizona State is in Tempe for the 2025 season. They will, I believe, have one practice that's open to media in El Paso, but that's about it. So this is the last time for a while in Tempe. Spring practices will probably start in March, so there's a 3-month break or so. Until then, stay tuned for all the best Arizona State content with me on ASU on SI. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you with another episode tomorrow.